Hello, this is Professor Shore, and this is Search Engines. We're going to talk about these topics in this presentation, which is a high-level look at search engines in general. We're not going to go into too many hard details, but this just gives you a starting point if you have not played with search engines that much. So we're going to talk about search engines, what they are, why we use them, types of search systems. We're going to talk about SEO, search engine optimization, some common mistakes people make with search engines, how to create faster searching, talk about tracking cookies and ad tracking, information gathering, personalized advertising, and wrap it up with AI search engines. Because after all, the other part of this particular lesson is about Chat GPT. So what are search engines? So we're going to try to provide you with a point of context for how to use search engines well. So a search engine, it's a powerful internet-based tool that helps us find information on the internet. Back in the early days when I first started using the internet in its current form, it was really difficult to find the things that you wanted to find on the internet or didn't even know was there, and you could just enter a random search and it would show up. Some of the most popular search engines now are Google, Bing. Yahoo used to be a big player. They were a really big company until the 2002 internet crash. And at the core of every search engine is a complex system of three key things. One is a web crawler. Given a starting point on the internet, it searches out for links to other content. And that includes images, videos, you name it, everything that's on a web page. Then it has to be indexed so that it's rapidly accessible. And finally, some ranking algorithms giving us our normal situation where the best or most likely result is shown to you first. It used to be a real game as to how to do that. But in the end, as of the early 2000s, content really drives this. And I've had firsthand experience with that. I used to run a fantasy basketball website geared towards the college enthusiast. And for 2 years running, if you entered the phrase college fantasy basketball or any of those three words, my website would come up first every time because of the content we were providing at the time. So again, these are the types of search systems, web things that you need to understand goes into making up a search. Web crawlers, also known as spiders and bots, I mean, really that is why we call it the World Wide Web at this point. Just think of them as digital explorers. They just go out there and roam incessantly the entire World Wide Web, the internet. They go everywhere. They visit whatever sites they can, although web designers, whoever designs a website, can limit where the web crawlers can go on their particular website. They follow hyperlinks from one page to the other and document into a database, continuously discovering and indexing the new information. That's the real key, is getting information is one thing. That's pretty blunt force, straightforward thing, but really the real issue is how do I index that so that I can get this information faster? Obviously, when a web crawler visits a web page, it takes note of various elements, the page's title, headings, text, images, and links. Keywords are also a thing that's still out there, but that's not as important as actual content. Okay, the information is stored in the search engine's index, which is essentially a massive database containing billions of web pages. Imagine keeping track of that. Imagine the resources that go into creating this search engine. The search engine allows data, information that you're looking for to be retrieved quickly. That's a big, big thing in how this system works. You think about it, it's got billions of pages with probably trillions of individual context in those pages. Think how fast you get your search results back from Google or Bing. And then finally, there's a ranking algorithm, which based on a combination of keywords determines when and where the data comes back to you, the user of the search engine. Obviously, for web page designers, they've got to be concerned about how their web pages are viewed by these web crawlers. So search engine optimization is very important. There's whole classes offered in just this particular area of expertise. And people actually make their living off of knowing how search engines work and how to make their web pages optimized for them. Sometimes these ways of modifying or creating web pages to be better for web crawlers comes down to how the content is written. For instance, here's an example. Instead of searching for a dog, try being more specific in your searches, like this one, training tips for golden retrievers. That's very, very specific search. So it's going to give you the most accurate information if that is indeed what you're trying to find. Relying solely on the first page of results. Don't limit yourself to the first page. Sometimes there'll be a nugget of really useful information in the second or even third page of your search results. One of the ways that logic comes into play for faster searching is how you formulate your searches. Boolean operators are things like and, or, not. For instance, if you want pets, it's going to give you just about everything you can imagine that's considered a pet. Or if you just want cats and dogs, or cats or dogs, those are two very different searches. For a search to come back with results for cats and dogs, the content must talk about both of these animals. Or means either of those, but not necessarily both. And then the not says cats, not dogs, would only have things where cats are discussed, but not dogs on the content. Also, you can use quotation marks. Here's a good example. If you put in quote climate change effects, that will only give you results with that exact content. If you had just entered climate change effects, it would rank those three words and give you everything that's got climate change or effects in the content. And usually the results, like I know off the top of my head, Google for sure, if one of your words is not there, it'll tell you in the result, at the bottom of the result for a particular website or web page. And then you can also do site-specific searches. So if you want to search, for instance, a well-used, well-known website like wikipedia.org, you can use the site qualifier so that you can do a search like this, site wikipedia.org artificial intelligence. So that'll only search that website, that URL, for things that they have on there about artificial intelligence. So again, lots of ways you can modify your searches and get exactly what you're looking for. One of the things that websites also do is they will try to put tracking cookies on your computer so then they end up knowing where you go, what you do. You will probably know right now that when you go to a website that wants to use cookies on your web page, it has to ask you for that permission. And that's actually coming from the EU standard that controls what data web pages can put on your computer and keep track of you. But if you allow these tracking cookies, it helps them remember your preferences and track your interactions. It does all kinds of things to make your web experience better in their eyes. Remember that. They're the ones that are using this data. And tracking cookies can be used by third-party advertisers to gather information about your browsing behavior across different websites. I find this to be actually quite creepy, because sometimes you'll be going along and suddenly you're getting ads for things that you looked for on another website. And I'm not sure that everyone is comfortable with that capability. So this ad tracking that happens is also known as behavioral tracking or targeted advertising. Involves looking at what you do online so that the person trying to sell you something understands your interests and preferences. It would be much like if you're watching television, advertisers had access to your watching logs. It is not, that capability doesn't exist, but imagine them doing that. Google and Facebook have various methods to track your interactions because, especially with Facebook, you have to log in to have full capabilities of the website. So the data that gets collected are things like pages that you viewed, links you click, and how long you stayed at a particular website. Information gathering involves all the information they collect about your online behavior. So always remember that when you're on the internet, unless you're not signing into these websites, unless you're using a blocking tool, they're going to collect information about you one way or the other, even if you're not logged into their website. This data often is about demographics, what your interests are, search queries, websites, even offline purchases, depending on the company, goes into the system. Like if you go to a drugstore, grocery store, and you buy something with a loyalty card, that information is going back into their website, and they use it to build profiles of customers. So each user ends up having a profile sitting there at the company's disposal. Basically, the bottom line of that is they want to be able to give you personalized advertising. It's been shown that personalized advertising is much, much more successful than blind advertising. So, it pays them to actually invest in this technology. Of course, the concerns I've already raised and mentioned, using tracking cookies and ad tracking is a real issue for people that are concerned about privacy and data security. There's been a number of companies that have had the data on their systems compromised from hackers. And I know a lot of you are probably going into the cybersecurity world. I wish you well there, because I am a long time user of the internet, and I am so tired of worrying about hackers. They just are the most despicable people on the planet. This data collection, however, again, is risky because if they do not protect your data, it can be compromised in a heartbeat. So that is one of the problems. Plus, there's the whole issue of misleading or reinforcing bad thoughts or bad um, beliefs on the part of users that all they hear are things that they already have heard. So it just reinforces that. To address some of these concerns, the General Data Protection Regulation and the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, have been put in place aiming to give users more control over their personal data and require platforms that gather data to let the users know. You can also manage your cookie settings in your browser, and you can opt out of personalized advertising through privacy settings. So again, you will see pop-ups asking for you to accept cookies because of your EU regulations. There are other search engine options out there. Google is obviously the most popular search engine, but there's also others. For instance, there's DuckDuckGo. I believe they also provide a secure private FTP client as well. DuckDuckGo is known for strong privacy protection and unbiased search results. In other words, they don't take advertisers' money to provide search results. Bing, Microsoft's search engine, is actually grown in popularity, but still nowhere near what Google is. It focuses on visual search and integrates with their other products that they have online. So again, that's another big option out there now. The big thing that's going on now is artificial intelligence that has really changed the face of searches. And one of the interesting things was that Google has put artificial intelligence into their normal, everyday search engine. Of course, AI search engines aren't flawless, and AI in general has some key things you need to watch out for. One is bias, because the results you're going to get back from an AI search engine is going to be skewed based on the data information that it's been given to train on. And AI usually doesn't understand contextual things. It may struggle to understand nuances of a query. That's always a problem with machine interactions. And that concludes our presentation. Good luck with your semester, and I look forward to working with you this year.